Okay, let's go.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? We are here. It is, I think, third, fourth, fifth episode. I'm not sure. I lose count. I have a bad memory. We're sitting here with Kimbo Rose. What's going on?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Pleasure is all mine. So, to do it, a very quick introduction. You are a boxing coach. You and your
Mhm.
husband own a boxing gym in Boston, Massachusetts. You've been vegan for almost 20 years. You're in a
Mhm.
rock band and you gave birth to a little daughter in the middle of COVID. Does that
Yes.
sum it up?
Yep. And
So
her
it's
name is Sadie,
Sadie.
and she's a year old. Yeah. And
So,
just all one small little thing is we are actually located in Waltham, Mass, and the gym is called STC Boxing and Fitness. Just in case anybody wants to stop by.
so where does that come from? Why boxing?
For me personally, or my husband, or just in general. Yeah.
What's the idea? Because how long have you had the gym for?
So STC started in 2012, and I met my husband at the gym.
Okay.
So the way we met was he had had the gym already, and just a small backstory, I was speaking with a client in regards to transformation. I was vocalizing, I just moved back out to the East Coast. I was on the West Coast to do some touring, to hang out with family, and I had this client, and I was like sitting on the phone being like, here's a suggestion. You should do something that challenges you. You should do something that makes you feel brave, and we're like having this discussion, and then I get off the phone, and in that single moment I had realized that I was the one that needed that. Like I played music, I had been an athlete, I love sports, I'm a punk, like I get all that. But after that conversation, I picked up the phone, I called STC Boxing. My husband, who I didn't know at the time, answered. We had a great discussion. I went to the gym that night. I like had my vegan leather jacket on. I like rolled in and I was like, hey, what's up? I'm Kimbo, and I see him and I head over heels. The nicest person I've ever met. He like wrapped my hands and he was like, whoa, because he was the one on the phone call. So I met my husband walking into the boxing gym. And that's how that part of my life started. And the first time I wrapped my hands and got my gloves on, because now it's been 4 years since I've been boxing. And I definitely want to hear your story too. And I remember just like having that moment where I had been searching for something that allowed me to be present in my life. And music, which we want to talk about that too. Music allowed me an opportunity to be in front of a crowd, but also be so present with my instrument, right? With my words, with my emotion. Like as a musician, I feel like you write lyrics in these moments and they're very emotional. And some of my best songs were ones in which I would be bawling my eyes out, like writing lyrics, being like, yes, I feel it. Yes, and just like getting that motivation. So boxing transitioned into that. It allowed me to be this cognitive person learning these skills, but also allowing me to be present in the moment that's changing me. That transformation was huge. And it was here, and it was here. And it came from wanting to learn how to box. And so not only did I meet my soon to be husband, I fell in love with the sport of boxing. And as a coach now, I see that in people. I see when you're coaching and you're like, okay, chin down, elbows in. Okay, like remember right here, like you throw that jab right here. What's here, Or you coming back and you got that hook, you got that two, whatever it is, and because you've done Muay Thai, that moment when people go ha, and it like clicks, and all of a sudden they're like their hands are going, they're moving their heads, their weight distribution's going, and I feel it's just so it's so amazing how for me it was like I came from this, like, yes, I've been vegan for almost 20 years now, but it was like this music community that raised me, And then it was this boxing community that that helped change me in all these, to me, all these incredible ways, like challenging yourself to change yourself. Right. So, so yeah, that's, and I've been 4 years of training, 4 years of learning, you know, and it's just like music too. It's like, I'm always learning. Every single day I walk in there, I get a new member, somebody who's never boxed a day in their life, somebody who's been boxing for 8 years. The gym's 10 years old now, you know. It's an incredible experience.
It's a hard thing to explain to someone that's never been a coach. I'm a Muay Thai instructor, and there's not a lot of things that touches my heart more than teaching a technique to someone, and then you're just walking around through class. It could have been 2 months after you showed them that technique, and you see a click. It just in their head, in their eyes, it just, and then the technique is theirs. It's there. You don't.
Yeah, and it will stay there forever, and they'll continue to get better. Like even now, you still need those reminders. You know, let's say you're throwing a cross hook, and all of a sudden your head's here. It's like chin down, elbows in. It's like, and it's like, even today, I had a class, and I kept telling them, we're coaching the basics. We always go back to the basics.
It's all about basics. All about basics. I don't know anything flashy, and I've been doing it for 15 years. It's Bruce Lee that said, I'm not scared of someone that practiced 1,000 kick once. I'm worried about somebody that's practiced one kick 1,000 times.
Yes, that brings me to the jab.
Yeah. Oh, there's nothing more beautiful than a jab. There's nothing
don't more... stand there, jab. What's wrong, little say? So, little say.
Jab and kick. You guys miss kicks. Jab and kick.
We don't kick. We don't do kick. We're USA Olympic style boxing, so we don't kick. But we do have the bags, and we do get people that come to open gym, and they want to throw their hands, they want to kick around. Hey, no worries, they're more than welcome to. It's just that our classes and the way we were trained, Olympic style boxing.
I love boxers. I love boxers because your stance is so wide. I like to kick legs. Just chop those legs down. Chop those legs down.
If you're ever in our area, you
for
have
sure. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I'm so
no
sorry
about it.
Like I said, a lot of homies, and you're my homie now, and you guys don't have your gym open, and that is like, and awesome for advocating for, like, hey, let's open this up, because the gym for us, when we had to close down our gym, I was 8 months pregnant, and it was like, okay, where's this income going to come from? How are people going to be safe? We literally had a baby shower, and then we closed down the next day. And I remember being like, and my husband and I were just like, okay, you know, because nobody knew what was going on at the time. And of course, it's like, now it's more like, all you do is give gratitude for where you are, give gratitude for being in that position to reopen. A lot of gyms didn't get that opportunity. You know, a lot of people didn't get the chance to train. A lot of people had to sit isolated from their mental health, in their mindset, in their heart space, because of what was going on. So no complaining here. I'm just saying that, like, in that position, I remember at that moment being like, I don't know what the future holds. And I take space, like I was saying about some friends that are still waiting. Like even today, I posted a fun video of me at the gym, and then I realized, like, is that insensitive? Because I'm at the gym, and a lot of people, whether I know them or not, are like, I can't wait to get back, you know? And I'm just like, oh, I just feel, because to me, it's not just a gym, it's our culture, it's our community, but it's what keeps me sane. As I said before, it keeps me present. And as we know, especially because your background, when you're present, that's that true authenticity. That's that happiness. You jump to the future, you go to the past, anxiety, depression, that present moment is what keeps you grounded.
But
and I get
that's all we have.
Yeah,
There's no such, the future doesn't exist, neither does the past. The only thing that exists is what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And about your video, you should post videos like that, because there's two ways to look at it. You can see it in a negative way, saying it might make them feel bad because their gyms are closed. I tend to see things on the bright side and say,
Mm.
if they can see that other people are open, maybe that
Mm.
will give them faith that their gym is going to open too.
That's real. That's super real. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. And I also feel like, like in a day to day, if I choose happiness, if I choose my authenticity, and if I choose to, like, how can I advocate for other people, but also how can I be of service, right? Like, I'm in a community of service as a nutrition specialist and coach. I'm serving other people to get healthy. And I love that shit. Pardon my mouth. Pardon my mouth.
Can I ask you a question out of the blue? Did you come up as from a religious family?
So not religious in the sense of God, and I do believe in God, but I grew up in a sense of energy, in a sense of my ancestors, my mother, my grandmother, we were in energetic work. We wore stones. We
You're
got
witches.
Yeah.
You come from a witch family.
Well, technically, my aunt calls us Saunders, and that is technically a witch family.
My girlfriend is one, so I understand what you're saying.
So yeah, I did. I came from a place where my mother, my father taught me about and there's good and bad, right? But he taught me about animal like love, like the love of animals. He loved animals. My mother came from a place where she fought for justice. Even when I was a kid, she taught me about justice. She taught me about feminism. She taught me about energy work, about stones, about life. And so I feel that I'm always tapping into that spiritual on a day to day. Like, I don't know a day where I'm not praying at 9:27, doing some mantras or trying to get those affirmations, because I believe that they help me live authentic. And that's my goal every day. Like, how can I just be real? Not be fake, just be real, be that real person that has the good and the bad days, and hence why we box, because on those bad days, you just want to hit shit, right? So
because there's it's interesting. We didn't talk about that before, but I've been thinking about that a lot recently, and I was thinking that since I'm a very spiritual person, becoming a vegan is part of the journey of my spirituality. It's to me, it's kind of a level, right? Do you consider yourself vegan because of your spirituality? Do you think it's something that arose from being raised the way you were raised? Because in my opinion, once you understand those energies that are flowing around us day in, day out, they're always there. No matter what we're doing, they're there. Once you start tapping into those energies, do you not believe that vegan is just a part of that spirituality journey, if I can call it that way?
Yeah. Oh, please. No, I appreciate what you said. First off, I want to vocalize. I appreciate how you came from the way you grew up in that spiritual, because to me, spiritual is compassionate, right? It's kind of like politics. This is my opinion. I believe they are. All politics are personal because they deal with life, right?
Yep.
And so I would state that not only I just appreciate how you viewed that. So the answer would be yes, but in regards to the veganism, I guess essentially how it started, which we touched base a little bit, was I was a young punk, and the company you keep is so important, right? Like, I had this sisterhood of women who were feministic, who were just punks, who allowed me in to see what it was like to feel strong, to feel that power. And part of it was also advocating and voicing for those who could not, which are the animals, right? And I do believe that energetically, that if you have animals that are slaughtered, and that was the first thing I remember. Crime Think, I don't know, do you know Crime Think? It's like a USA like kind of punk distro.
No.
Well, they would send out and I could be mistaken, and if I am, forgive me, but they would send out Go Vegan, and we would book shows, and we'd have this whole table of just like information on how starter kits and like factory farming. And it's one of those things that when you do, if you take the opportunity to see these, you will never be the same, right? Like you can't unsee that torture, those killings, that slaughter. So when I did, when I was 18, and I'm 20 years vegan in May, it was, I thought, how could I advocate for so much injustice in this world, being in a punk band and not the animals, and not animal rights? I mean, my band Absinthe Rose, AR, stands for animal rights. So it's like, yes, so I would say, yes, there is definitely a correlation. And there is definitely that growing up in that spiritual way, because it shows you compassion. And if you're thinking of compassion in this world, then of course you include the animals in this world. But my beginning of veganism came from a place where I was gifted these women in my life. I was gifted this punk attitude. I was gifted, hey, you need to be an advocate. You need to do the work. And so and like I said, the moment I saw those videos and I educated myself, vegan. But if I may, my husband is not vegan. My homies, they're not all vegan. I don't work with just, so I'm just being real. I gotta be authentic. So it's like, yes, of course, I'd love to see that. I'd love a world. And to be honest, let's be real. It's going that way. Vegan is the future. It is, because we can't sustain ourselves eating the way we are eating now. So that's where we're heading. And it's okay that some people, choose to participate in the vegan community to the best of their ability. That apply. You know what I mean? And so I'm not the vegan that's like, if you're not vegan, I'm not.
Me neither.
No.
I don't want to be like that either.
No. And I think that, like, you doing these podcasts and you living your own life with that compassion and that mindset, and just how you bring people on to show their story. What if somebody was like, I hate vegans because they're so pushy? Hey, that happens. I've heard that for years. Yep. But they're like, hey, I'm trying. Well, you know what? Good. Try, eat some more vegetables, educate yourself, figure out how you can change the world. And if you're going to eat meat, hey, is there a farm that you can go to? There's cage-free eggs that you can, like, in my nutrition programs. I love working with vegans, but do I all the time? No. But do I always educate? Yes. Everybody who ever joins a program gets educated on factory farming. They get educated on the meat and dairy industry. They get educated on profit for food and where to go. So that education's there. And so many times have people chose to do plant-based, to do vegan, to do vegetarian because of that information. So that's just how I feel about it. I feel like it's a very personal thing. I feel like it has global impact. And I think that it is the future, and it's just a matter of time before everyone's on board. I really do. And of course, you want to do everything in your power. So you want to spread the word. You want to do those vegan follow backs. You want to build that community. Well, if somebody comes to you and they're like, yo, I'm trying. And you're just like, no. Come here. Let me help you. And that's the vegan I want. That's the vegan I like to be,
If you remove the vegan portion of it, you'll never change somebody's mind by forcing or trying to force them or scream at them.
Yeah.
No matter what the subject is.
Yeah. Even if it wasn't.
No,
right?
That's my point. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do. It doesn't matter the subject. You'll never get a good response from people if you're screaming at them, if you're calling them names. I see that too often. And that's from both sides of the fence. Like, as a 6'1", 200-pound guy that's very muscular, people around me eat meat. My best friend is not a vegan, and I couldn't care less. But you know how many times I've been insulted? People have laughed at me for being a vegan, and I'm like, let's put the gloves on, guy. Let's just put the gloves on. Take your shirt off right now. Let's see that big gut of yours compared to my six-pack. It's both ways, right? I've heard a lot of vegans call meat eaters bad names and vice versa, and
Oh,
I don't understand. It doesn't change anything.
and it's personal. Sure. I mean, how can you eat that? Right. To me, that's me. Almost 20 years.
Yeah.
I eat that murder. I don't want to eat that emotion. I don't want the animals that I'm consuming to go through that pain. And how do people not think that it doesn't affect their bodies? It doesn't affect, but the truth is studies show there's more education on how it is affecting, how it's literally ruining our hormones, how people are rapidly gaining weight, the cortisol levels are rising because of the meat we're ingesting, how leptin is off because you don't know when you're hungry or not. So there is that science, right? So as a nutrition, it's like I back everything by science. And like I said, in my programs, everybody who joins is going to learn about it, just so, I mean, you need, and that's what happened to me. I watched my first slaughterhouse video when I was 18 years old, and it changed my life for the better. And I'd never, and if I ever need a reminder, I watch him, and it kills.
It's, there's one of the biggest thing I've noticed when I became, because I was vegetarian for about 7 or 8 years, and I've been vegan for 3 or 4, so I haven't ate meat in more than a decade. But just the smell, just my, as somebody that trains a lot, I don't smell like anything anymore. Since
Yeah,
like for the past 10 years, just the
yeah,
smell of my skin. You know how many girls have told me I have the softest skin? I
mhm,
barely use soap. I use soap in specific areas. On a
yes,
day-to-day base, I don't smell,
mhm,
and my skin is
mhm,
always awesome. Just I know that it's because it's rotten flesh that you're eating.
yes,
There's
yes. I totally agree. I totally agree, and I think there's something to be said for. I'm turning 38 this year,
yeah,
and every time I say that, which is pretty dope, I get like, no, stop it, and
yeah,
I'm like, no, you shut up, no, thank you, you shut up, and you're just trying
yeah,
to fly. But the cool thing is like I believe that yes, vegan for the animals, oh, 100%,
yeah.
but also for the planet, 100%. But let's be real. How about nutrition for the body too, right?
I
Like,
wish somebody would have told me that.
yeah,
I wish
yeah.
somebody would have told me that years and years and years ago when I was still fighting. I wish somebody would have told me that.
Do you there's a country star, Lathan Warwick, who is just taking over the charts. He's incredible. He's literally doing everything in power to smash racism in the rap and country music. And he just became a friend of mine. And
Sure.
we have been talking, and today was his first day going vegan.
Good for him.
And I wanted to shout him out because I felt we've been communicating, and we're working on meal plans, and we're working on educating, but it's because he wants to advocate for animals, yes, but it's also because he's going to be on tour.
Yeah.
And I vocalized, hey, you get sick, you don't feel well, you're going to have money out of your pocket. Like, let's be real. Like, let's get you healthy. Let's get you healthy here and here and here, and it's all connected, right? um I'm just so proud because he's like, hey, I'm trying small steps, and I go, that's it, just don't feel that shame and guilt for trying, keep going with it and keep educating yourself. In my programs, first day anybody joins, let's write out the why, because when you feel that you are you're misplacing your nutrition, you're not feeling strong that day, something has happened and it's caused you to perhaps eat a different way, I jump back with, here's your why. This is why you hired me, this is why you're doing this, let's not forget the why. And I think, may I ask you a question? When you became vegan, the why, does that still come to you if you ever felt, no, I'm not assuming that you ever feel like, oh, I don't want to be that, but like that why, does that still invigorate you? Does that still inspire you? And what is your why?
As I said earlier, I think it is my becoming vegetarian more than a decade ago started with I was reading a Buddhist book that one of my
Mm,
friends lended me, and my dad back then was going through cancer. Like
mm,
he battled
I'm so
cancer for 5 years before dying about 5 years ago. But
sorry.
um it's one of those things that I had problems dealing with it, because he was the best man I've ever met. And the fact that you see so many people that are really not great people live their whole life, and
Mhm.
he was getting his journey cut short, if I can say it that way. And
Sure.
yeah, I
Mhm.
had problems dealing with it. One of my buddies that was a vegetarian gave me a Buddhist book, and I had an illumination. I was
Mm.
sitting on the couch with the Buddhist book. I had my two dogs on me, and I'm like, I would never eat them. So,
Yeah,
and
that's
over the
real.
years, I became vegan, and I think it's like I was saying earlier, it's just spirituality. I'm a very spiritual guy, and I
Mm.
think it's one of the steps in spirituality. To me, it
Mhm.
just makes sense.
I agree.
I cannot cause harm. You know, the Dalai Lama says you can judge a society by the way they treat their animals.
Yep.
And I try to keep
That.
that in mind. Like the way you treat your weak, the people that have less power than you, is
Mhm.
normally that will draw a pretty accurate description of that. Like, it's gonna give a really good drawing of what that society believes.
Yeah. I thank you so much for sharing. I
Yeah,
just I value how spiritual and how you tap into that and how that
you
helped
have to.
mold.
You have
And
to.
I'm sorry about your father. My father died when I was younger. And yeah, I thank you for being so like vocal and honest about everything. It's just it's really incredible because your journey, I feel is so important, right? And I that's also why I'm not like a forceful person when it comes to vegan. I'm proud as all hell.
Yeah.
What I do. But I want to educate and I want to encourage people. I want to inspire people to change in
Yeah.
those ways. Yes. And I think with that compassion, we can. I like my husband. Yes, he's not vegan. Does he eat vegan? Yes. Does he have vegan meals 4 or 5 times a week? Yes. Is he choosing to go 100% vegan? No. Do I love him any less? Absolutely not. He's my best friend. He's my rock. I love him to pieces, and I'd do anything for him. But that's just my style. And somebody else might be like, no way, I'd never marry a non-vegan.
Yeah.
And that's choice. And I get that, you know, and like I said, it's all personal, right? It's personal, but at the end of the day, it's not about us, right? It's not about us. It's about who we serve and how we can help these animals, planet, and ourselves in regards to nutrition, not in regards to how to profit from this. So at the end of the day, we have to advocate for the voiceless, and that's the animals. And that's when you want to show your homie like, yo, I get what you're eating, and maybe grass fed's going to be better, maybe this, you know, but you're going to show them that video. You got to educate your crew on factory farming, you know, and just be like, seriously, watch this, and you tell me that you're going to eat that,
I've
right?
always wondered, there's something, I was discussing that with somebody I met this
Mm.
weekend. I was asking them, I was pondering the fact, I've been pondering this for years, but how many people would still eat meat if they had to gut that cow? If they had to slit that throat, see it
Oh,
die, see it bleed out, rip
cows
that, like,
are beautiful. Those
see,
big eyes and those
yeah.
wet little noses, how
I
would you?
wonder how many people would, we're unfortunately in our day and age, we're so detached from everything that we do. We have no idea how everything's made around us. We have no skills anymore when it comes to manual labor. We don't know how to build anything. And especially, we have no idea where our fruit come from. Like, no clue, no clue. We have no clue where it comes from. So we're
It's
so detached that
mhm.
it allows us to, although you're not the one creating the pain, the
Mm.
cruelty yourself, you are the only reason that it exists is because you're ready to pay for it.
And you buy into it, and that's the thing.
Of course you do. Of
you
course
you
you do.
buy it, and you're 1,000% you. And so choosing to be plant-based, which includes and I don't like the word diet. Like I said, I do not like diet culture. It's not a beginning and end, it's a lifestyle. That's just
Yeah.
the how. But it's like plant-based, vegetarian, vegan. It's you're choosing not to give money to support the meat, dairy, slaughterhouses, factory farming, and that is something that people can do, you know.
It's purchasing
Person,
power. It's called
yeah,
purchasing power, and most people don't understand that principle, that if you don't
or
like a product,
yeah.
stop buying it. Companies
Mhm.
are there to make money. If you don't buy their stuff, they'll find something to sell you that you want to buy.
Yeah. 100%.
It's
Yeah.
not that hard. It's not that hard. It's super
No,
simple.
it isn't, but it's also like, that's what I think that's why I was really excited when you had asked, like, hey, do you want to be a part of this? And I was like, shut up, of course I do. And then I watched all your other podcasts, and your guests are incredible, and of course I'm following all of them because I think they're dope and I love their stories. And yeah, I think what you're doing is important, and hopefully somebody might watch us and be like, yo, let me educate myself, let me see how they can, like I said, people, I believe, want to do the right thing. It's just, they're not sure how. It's like when people come to my programs and they're like, I think I don't know how to eat. And you think like, what does that mean? But there's like this real truth to it. Like, nobody taught me like how to balance a meal, which, just small things, right? So like, so if somebody comes to you and they're just not sure, they might not be as ignorant, they might just not know how. And like I said, I was fortunate to be a part of a very powerful female presence when I was a kid that was just like, yo, this is what we do and this is what we don't. And then of course you make your own choices, like feminist, totally, vegan, absolutely, punk band, totally. It's like, so, and you make these choices to build your authenticity. But and just to like jump ship a little bit and like, let's put a pin in it. I want to hear about you playing guitar. You that you had this wild experience, and if you don't, maybe jump to that, because I want to hear. So here, let me do the interview for a second. Okay. So you had this spiritual, and that's another thing, is you have this spiritual awareness, right? And you had this experience that allowed you to pick up an instrument and to start playing. Now, I want to hear about that. Second, and this is a 2-part question, I want to know if that experience was visual or visceral or one and the same, in order for you to be like, this is how I connect to myself on this level. Go. Interview time.
Go. Well, let's say that I bought a very cheap Denver guitar about a year ago. I've always wanted to play guitar, always wanted to. I just never took the time to do it. I used to live in Montreal, always busy, 12, 14 hours a day all the time between my workouts, my work, and my martial art teaching. So I had a guitar. Once COVID hit, I have an investment property that's in the middle of nowhere, which is where I am now. I've been here for a year. I've been living in a log house for a year now. And when it all started, I was like, I don't know where this is going, but there's a feeling that I need to buy a guitar. So I bought it. It was sitting in the corner of my bedroom for almost a year now. And about 3 weeks ago, I had a ayahuasca ceremony. So for those who don't know, it is considered an hallucinogen, psychedelic. I like to call it like a mind altering. It recalibrates your awareness for 4 or 5 hours, let's say that. And one of the portions that's very important about ayahuasca ceremonies are singing and playing instrument. I've done some in Peru. I was in the Iquitos before, and I've did it in the Amazon. And the shaman would sing and smoke big tobacco cigars. But the guy that we did it here, he spent a few years in Peru, but he's a musician, so he plays guitar. And he was there with his wife. We were 6 of us receiving the medicine. There were 6 guides. So they were 1 for 1, and they played music for most of the time that we're there. And the experience that I got it's kind of hard to explain, but let's say that it came back to me saying that I needed to integrate music in my life. I needed to start playing. I needed to start singing. And I think that if you look at all the old civilization, music has always been normal. Everybody sings, everybody plays. It's just for the last 75 to 100 years, we're associating artists, like really, really good artists. It kind of makes us shy and we don't play it anymore. We're kind of ashamed of not being as good as the artists you see on TV. So people tend to not play. Plus, we have access to MP3s anytime. But think about 100 years ago. If you wanted to hear music, You had the
Yeah.
radio, but if there wasn't any music playing, you had to play with your family. What's more
Yeah.
gathering than playing music? Literally, like what's not,
No.
people don't understand the
Yeah.
vibration that we vibrate. The earth vibrates. All
Oh,
the
absolutely.
music, the notes that you're hitting on your guitar, on your flute, on whatever the instrument that you're playing, it vibrates and your body responds to that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I came from. So I've been playing
Mm-hmm.
an hour a day for the past 3 weeks, give or take. And my old Denver guitar was vibrating. It's not a good guitar. So
Mm-hmm.
this weekend I went to spend almost $850, I think the guitar cost me with the case. Yeah, yeah. But
Love it.
I
I
love it too. I love it.
Martin. I have a double 15 mahogany Martin. It's my favorite guitar ever.
Yeah,
And is it Valerie June who plays one too? I mean, come on, she's incredible,
yeah.
and like my baby. And you know, then those things are expensive, right? But you're making an investment on your happiness. You're making an investment. You're leaning into that spiritual and that vibration. And I really appreciate you sharing, because I was so curious, because I have crew in Oregon that do the same thing, and it's earth medicine
Yep,
is what they,
absolutely.
you drop in,
Absolutely.
you
Yep.
take earth medicine and you drop in, and you have these experiences, and you come out with just a more and I have never done that. So this is coming from a conversation I had with them. So my words are theirs, not mine, just
Yep.
to be clear. They have vocalized that there's this freedom and finding like this weight or this light, and everyone has a different experience. And I think it's beautiful that you not only got it to do that with a guided shaman who actually was skilled in that, because that's part of it, and that's part
You
of
have to. You have to.
having,
You have
exactly.
to.
And I think that if anybody did want to try that for spiritual reasons, or if they were feeling that they needed, I would agree. What would you say to somebody that saw this interview and was like, okay, so how do I do that? Should I do that? Would you advocate for it, or?
It's a it's I'll be curious. Did you see the podcast I released last week? It's just Be My Myself.
Ooh, no, I watched the one with Adam recently.
Yeah.
That one was great. I follow him as well. Super
Yeah,
dope
he's a
person.
great dude. He's a great
Yeah,
dude.
dude.
He's a
I
great
don't
dude.
know him yet, but you know, I'm sure we'll run into each other. But no, but if I may, would you tell me about it? I apologize, I
Yeah.
missed it.
Oh no, no worries, no worries. It's the I started a new line of podcasts where I'm going to speak about my spiritual journey. So all of the things that I do, because I'm
Mm.
somebody that meditates. I'm somebody that, to answer your question, because it's one of the warnings that I give to people. There's some shamans that believe that if you're capable of, because before doing ayahuasca, they give you about a 2 weeks diet beforehand. So no
Mm.
meat, no fish, um, no dairy products,
Mm.
nothing that's fermented, no alcohol, no
Mhm.
coffee, no
Yep.
sex. So there's quite, but as a vegan, for me, the only thing I needed to stop is the fermented and of course the fucking sex.
Yeah.
Um, but
You
as a
come
vegan,
on.
the
Yeah.
diet, like I had to stop coffee, but yet it's been almost a month. I haven't drank coffee in a month now, and I'm not going to start again.
Yeah.
So they say that if you are capable of going through the diet restriction, you're ready to take that medicine. I don't agree. I think there's more to it than that. I think you need to be somewhere that you've done a lot of introspection, that you've meditated a lot, that you've looked at yourself in the mirror. And I know it sounds cheesy, I know it sounds bad, but most people never take the time to assess what they are, who they are. I,
Mm-hmm.
I've I've described myself as my work for so many years. Until recently, I still
Yeah.
thought that my work defined me,
Mm.
and
And
nothing.
which work exactly was that? Like what?
I'm a sales engineer for a fiber optic company, like for in telecommunications. So I basically deal with customers. I think before COVID, I did 200 meetings face to face in a year.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
and
Yeah.
so I meet customers, I assess their need on a technical aspect, and I sell them a solution. So for
Yeah.
years, I attached my identity to what I did as a job.
Sure.
And unfortunately, we do too much of that. We don't know ourselves. We believe that the ego view that we have of ourselves is what we are, and we could not be further from the truth. And because the
Yeah.
thing is, ayahuasca will expose that. It will show it to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
If you're not ready for that, it could be a very rude awakening.
Could be a
Very
huge,
rude. Yeah.
yeah.
But
I
it doesn't have to be ayahuasca. It could be magic mushroom. It could be LSD. Like there's a lot of psychedelics that will do very similar things. But I believe that you need to have a spiritual journey that's already. You must meditate. You must be able to sit 10 minutes at least, sitting without saying a word. Like if you can't do that, you have to go within yourself. You have to work on the human being that you are before I think you're ready for that. But I
yeah.
think that it is a step. To me, ayahuasca showed me. I like to explain my meditate. I've achieved meditation states that were very similar to my last ayahuasca ceremony, but it's
Mm,
only it's 3 or 4 times in my life I was able to reach that, and it's only for a few minutes. The
mhm,
ayahuasca ceremony gave me that same feeling for 4 hours straight,
yeah.
but it allowed me to understand that the feeling that I was getting, the state of mind that I was in, it
Mhm,
helped me understand what it is. So to
mm,
me, all those psychedelics are a door to your consciousness. They
mhm,
show you what you are capable of doing. Once
mhm,
you bring that in and you do, because one of the most important part of doing those ceremonies is the integration afterwards. Because you
mm,
will learn some stuff during that ceremony. And if you go
mhm,
back to your work right away and you don't take time to meditate on what the plan tried to tell you,
mhm.
you won't change from it. But if you
You'll miss,
yeah,
yeah.
you'll forget the message and you'll just go back to your work.
Mhm,
I've Between you and I and whoever watches this, I my last ceremony shook me. Like I've been facing a lot of very hard questions when it comes to, as I said, what am I? Not like.
right.
And I've been off work now for 3 weeks. I've I'm into integration for the past 3 weeks, and it's not just because of the ceremony, but
Mhm.
I've been working about 90 hours a week for the past few years, and
That's much.
now is the only time in 20 years of working that I've got more than 2 weeks off at once in
Yeah.
20 years. It's crazy when you think about
That,
it.
yeah. Give us a second, right? Like
Oh, it's
that's nuts.
crazy.
Crazy. Like I have worked 3 jobs since I was 16, and after giving birth to that beautiful being,
That
that beautiful
that
girl that I love, I just do I do two businesses, the gym and the nutrition. I play the music, yes, but and then mama, that's a job, right? And I, yeah, I mean, part of it, one thing that I'd like to vocalize was I believe that radical change comes from that like radical honesty about yourself, right?
yeah,
So and when you were vocalizing that, I I was just like, yes, because how can you transform in any bit of your life? Like, let's say you're just like, I've had this crazy year, there's so much social unrest. Like there's so much anxiety, there's depression, there's COVID, the gyms aren't open, the gyms are opening, mask, not mask, vaccination, not vaccination. There's so much stuff going on that in those moments that you should be able to identify so much about yourself, that you know yourself so well, that, and this is just a theory that I have, that you know the shit you don't like and you can change it, but only when you're so real with yourself that you're like, I have these traits. I have traits. Like one of my traits that I'm changing is I have a tendency to overbook myself because I
yeah.
want to be be 3 different people, and I want to, I say no. Yes, I say no, and I say yes to myself all the time. And that's part of it, right? Like if I couldn't do this, I wouldn't just pretend I could and be like, oh, sure, and then cancel on you. So I'm learning how, like, my time, what it's worth. I'm learning as a woman, as a mom, as a coach, as a whatever, like what am I going to say yes to? What am I going to say no to? Where my energy is going to go? How do I protect my energy and all that? And I feel like one thing about this discussion that I appreciate is every time we loop and put a pin on something, we go somewhere else. It's still the same conversation. Like, we're still in that spiral, still based in, you and I want to talk about compassion and veganism. We want to talk about the sport of boxing and Muay Thai, instructors and coaches and spirituality. And to me, it's like the same. That's who I am, you know. And for anybody who is watching, if you felt like your life needed something, whether it's do you know what being present is? Like, do you know what it feels like to have that peace and that calm, right? That unfuckable with feeling, right? No, the reaction, right? Like no matter what comes into your world, you have the ability to choose your reaction. If you don't have that yet, I want to help. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be somebody that can help people realize that the way they react to the world can be trained, just like coaching somebody in boxing. I
That
can
is the
train
only thing you control.
someone
This
else.
The
Yeah.
only thing you control in life is your reaction to any given situation. That is it.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
nothing else.
Meditation, because I do meditation as well. It has allowed me more confidence. It has allowed me to articulate things differently because my mind is visual. When I meditate, I tend to lie down when I do it. I visualize everything that might be problematic. My brother's come into town. Okay, like I want to make sure that he's comfortable. We have a good time. So I'll plan out some things in my head. Let's say it's like a bigger question, like let's say the social unrest in the world, and how do I change? Like, what do I do? How do I get better? How do I learn? You know, or whatever it is. And and when I'm in that moment of calm, and I have that ability to really visualize my concerns and my problems, I feel like I take them down and I wrap them here in this light and this compassion. And I go, okay, this is how I'm going to solve this. And then they go away. And that's how I deal with my life. That's how I deal with my stress, is when I'm in a meditative state, I'm allowed to choose how to react to these situations. And in real life, now that's what I'm doing now, right? Because it's like, it's almost like at first I remember like there was like this choose happy situation like many years ago in the community, like in nutrition, when I was like, you choose happiness. And I was like, please, that's so ridiculous. Because I was like, come on, like, if you have a bad day, you have a bad day. Authentic me, yeah, of course, when you have a bad day, you do. But how do you get yourself out of it? And there is to me, there is this teaching, the strength of not falling down, not spiraling down into it, and being able to lift yourself up, whether even if you're just treading water, right? You didn't drown, and you're still not out of the ocean, but you're treading water, you're figuring it out. So to me, there's so many levels to your authenticity, how to get there through meditation, through just exercise, through that mindset change, through the food that you enter in, you know. And I feel like that's all connected.
Consciousness.
Yeah. Oh,
It is the number one thing we do not. You said it earlier. We don't live in. We stress over our future, and we have anxiety about our past instead of simply living. It seems that we haven't understood that your emotions are neither bad or good. They're just emotions. Live them. Be
yeah. And
unhappy if you need to be unhappy. It's okay
yeah,
to be
yeah.
unhappy. Be happy if you want to be happiness comes from within, but also there's no such thing as happiness if you'll never be unhappy. There's a
Oh,
yin and a yang, there's a opposite forces all the time. But it's okay. You don't need to be frustrated because you're unhappy. I'm unhappy sometimes. I've been
oh,
unhappy for a little while, and it's okay. It's gonna
oh.
be fine. You'll be
I
better for it. Live through your emotion.
Yeah. I
Just
agree.
live through them.
Yeah.
I hate to do this, but I have to cut it short because
No, no
we're
worries.
at like 40. I think we're over 45 minutes, and I want to ask you a question first.
Yeah. Oh,
I always ask the same question. So, if you could speak to your 14-year-old self, what would you tell her?
my 14-year-old self,
Yeah.
I would tell her to stay in the light,
That's
no
good.
matter what happens, no matter who leaves your life, no matter um, the friendships that end, the exes that happen, the times you moved, the money lost, the heartache, the disdain, the frustration. I would tell her to stay in the light. That's what I would say.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
I
That's
appreciate.
beautiful. That's beautiful. Uh,
I am thrilled to have done this. Thank you so much for having me.
the pleasure's all mine. I got a feeling we'll have to do it again because we could go.
We
I think we
should.
could go for a little while. Yeah.
I say we book something when you continue playing your guitar, and I say I do the interview. I'm just kidding, but let you play a little bit, and then maybe you'll bring your guitar on, and we can talk about how that's all going, and how in reflectiveness, 3 weeks, maybe we talk 3 months and see how that's going, right?
That
And
works
maybe
out for me.
but I would love to come back. This is awesome, and
Thank
thank
you
you, Nico.
very. Oh, thank you. The pleasure's all mine. Thank you for taking the time.
Oh, absolutely.